Are you ready?
Let's get ready to rumble! Can't wait!
This is Moffett on the mic on the A1 Sports Network.
Bow to the masters. Break it down!
How you doing, everybody, and welcome to the Moffett on the Mic show, courtesy of the A1 Sports Radio Network. We are both quarantined as once again in our respective homes. I am Craig Moffett, and alongside me, as always, is the founder of the A1 Sports Network and the people's producer, Mr. Chris Klim.
What's going on, Craig?
Klim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to go today. Surprisingly, a lot of stuff has happened within the past couple of days in the sports. I'm really excited to get going on this.
Yeah, I mean, we have our one main topic of the day, which I'm going to get to in a second, and then we're going to end. Klim's going to comment on something, and I'm going to comment on something to finish up our show. We only get an hour on IG Live, so we should be done before that. So the one thing I do want to talk about towards the very end, because it just keeps coming up, are all the cuts that WWE made today.
Oh, I know.
I mean, that's a bloodletting. So we'll get into that at the end of the show. But here's my question for today. And I was thinking about this a lot today because, as you know, we're now a little bit over a week away from the NFL draft. And I talked about it yesterday on my show on Facebook Live, and we were talking about what teams need quarterbacks, what teams could maybe draft a quarterback. Is this a quarterback market that is – you got to have one of these guys, okay? Maybe outside of Tua. It's tough to say, right?
Yeah.
So – amidst all of that, we now have a situation where Dak Prescott may hold out because he's in a contract squabble with the Dallas Cowboys. The last time I checked, the Cowboys had offered him $105 million guaranteed over, I don't know what the number of years was. I want to say it was 3 or 4, kind of similar to what Cousins got, although Cousins was fully guaranteed, although it was a little less. So Prescott apparently turned it down. I mean, that's not really a surprise because if he had signed it, you would have already heard about it.
Yeah.
So here's my question at the end of the day. Does Dak Prescott have all the leverage in the contract situation with the Cowboys?
I don't think so. He hasn't really played up to par where I think the Cowboys want him to play. He's kind of been and he came into the league hot. And then, but since then, he's been kind of average. I mean, I don't think, will he get the money? I think he will, but I don't think he deserves it at all. He's been nothing fancy. I mean, what the Cowboys haven't won any playoff games with him. They haven't been to that next level. I don't think he's the guy to take them to the next level, honestly.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. So I was looking up his stats because I really wasn't sure about this question at first. Because my first thing was, no, I don't know if Dak Prescott is worth all the trouble. Because I'm asking myself, if I put another quarterback on the Dallas Cowboys right now, can I get the same results?
Right.
You have Ezekiel Elliott. You have Amari Cooper. Now, granted, you don't have Jason Witten, but you still have a pretty strong offensive line. And, you have a couple of decent weapons. Michael Gallup is another weapon. So I'm asking myself, if you put Jameis Winston on the Cowboys, if you put Cam Newton on the Cowboys, or if you put one of those guys and you draft a quarterback, are you basically getting the same production? It's something to think about.
Maybe.
Now listen, when all is said and done, everybody forgets, while Jameis Winston threw 30 picks last year, he also threw 30 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And while I don't have his stats, maybe you can pull up his stats if you're able to.
Yeah.
Yardage-wise, he had to have been at around 4,500 yards passing because he threw it a lot in garbage time when the Buccaneers were behind.
Yeah, he threw 5,100 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 30 interceptions.
Okay. So Prescott last year had 4,900 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions.
Right.
QB rating 99.8. Listen, one thing about Dak Prescott is he's been very consistent, and I will give him that.
Yeah.
I will definitely give him that. And the one thing I've also liked about Dak Prescott, now he's been in the league now for 4 years.
Yeah.
One thing I've liked about Dak Prescott is he doesn't turn the ball over. He does not turn the ball over. He's only thrown 36 interceptions in 4 years. Take his first year, he only threw 4 picks, and I think that was because he came in late in the season. He wasn't I don't know if he was a starter first game of the season. I think he was. He might have been.
Yeah, he was.
But the thing I'm having a problem with is this is where the money for me gets out of control. This is where I don't know if quarterbacks are worth what they're asking for on the market. I'm not sure.
It's tough. It's tough to say because there are some quarterbacks who are worth it. I mean, that's where your money is going to lie on whenever
You're talking about you're getting more money now than Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. You know, guys like, I mean, obviously see with Kirk Cousins. I mean, yeah, he's a decent quarterback. Did he deserve that contract? Absolutely not.
Or
But
the next one he got too.
exactly. And a guy like Dak Prescott, who won, he doesn't deserve it at all. He's been average. I mean, but again, he hasn't taken that next step for the Cowboys to take the Cowboys to the next level. You have all these weapons around him. You have a great offensive line, one of the best running backs in the NFL. Amari Cooper is great. You have a great offense, and then he hasn't been able to take that next level yet. So, I mean, will he get the money? Yes, because this is an insane league. Does he deserve it? Absolutely not.
And that's what I'm saying. Now, the Cowboys offered him $105 million guaranteed. That's insane right now. And the thing is, listen, let's call it what it is. Dak's never been to a Super Bowl.
Right.
He's never been to an NFC Championship game. He has not led the Cowboys to an NFC Championship game. There are plenty of times where you could second guess if he was any good.
Yeah.
If he was going to be the guy to carry the Cowboys. You could easily argue that without Zeke, maybe Dak's not that good of a quarterback. When you have a strong running game, it takes the pressure off a quarterback.
Right.
Not to mention you have Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup at the same time. The thing is that I'm asking myself, because we've seen quarterbacks get money that, in my opinion, they don't deserve. Just go back in time. Go back in time to Ryan Tannehill's first contract with the Dolphins. Go back in time to Andy Dalton's contract with the Bengals. Okay? The amount of money he got for a guy who has never won a playoff game in his career.
Yeah.
Even before he got kicked out of the league, basically, before he got blackballed out of the league, even Kaepernick got an insanely large contract for a guy whose accuracy was not good.
Yeah, and you can even want to pinpoint it to look at Phillip Rivers for 1 year. He got $25 million.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And he's never been to a championship game. Never been. I don't even know how many playoff appearances he's made in his career. And you can even argue Matt Stafford. Stafford's another guy that really. You can easily argue he doesn't deserve the contract he gets.
Yeah, well, he's great. He's probably the best quarterback you named, but again, he doesn't deserve it. He hasn't gotten the Lions anywhere really. What he made like a couple playoff appearances, a few. I mean, it's nothing crazy.
To me, that doesn't guarantee you should get a brand new contract. I'm not even sure that Ryan Tannehill should have got the contract he got with the Titans. I mean, listen, When Mariota crapped the bed and Tannehill took over, it was a different team. I don't doubt that. Got them to the AFC Championship game, but when they shut down Derrick Henry and it was put on Tannehill's shoulders, he couldn't deliver.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't understand about Ryan Tannehill. Is that, when Ryan Tannehill was killing it, everybody – wasn't it funny how the first person that got blamed was Adam Gase?
Yeah.
He didn't get the most out of Tannehill. He made the freaking playoffs with Tannehill.
Yeah.
In his first year in Miami, he made the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill tore his ACL and then missed an entire season. I mean, at that point, you just got to cut your losses. But when the game was put on Tannehill's shoulders, he failed. I'm sorry, he failed. Yeah. Because the Chiefs knew to shut down Derrick Henry, and that was the way to get to Tannehill. You can even argue he was exposed.
Exactly. And the Titans now this year are going into an unknown season because we never really see Ryan Tannehill play really back-to-back seasons. He's really been injured for most of his career. And now that he did a fantastic job with the Titans are going to roll with him next year to see I'm praying if he stays healthy and if he can do the same thing again. And if he does, that's great for him. Then I say, yeah, he does deserve it.
Listen,
but right now, no.
One thing I hate is when guys' careers end early. Yeah. I don't like it. I mean, listen, Tannehill wasn't a bad quarterback. I think the Miami Dolphins drafted him because the other guys were taken and they needed a quarterback. I mean, that was the best way to describe it. That's the only reason why you would draft him in the top 10.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there was some, he had some good to his game. I mean, he could throw a good ball. And listen, he was outstanding in the postseason for the most part. When they played the Patriots, when they played the Ravens, He was very good, threw some beautiful deep balls. But when the Chiefs, when they shut down Derrick Henry, but there was a constant in those two first playoff games before you got to the championship game, and that was Derrick Henry was steamrolling the defenses.
Exactly.
Which opened up, which took a lot of heat off Tannehill. You can easily relate that to the Dallas Cowboys. Because when you have a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, it's going to take the pressure off of Dak Prescott. I think if you put the burden on Dak Prescott, he's not going to deliver. Remember, a lot of that stuff was in garbage time, too.
Mm-hmm.
They were behind a lot against the Jets, and and that's when he started, going crazy against the Jets because they were down by so much. I don't dispute his stats. I mean, he is a good quarterback. I just question at this point, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, now listen, at the end of the day, Jerry Jones loves this guy. So he's going to give him the deal that he feels he deserves.
Right.
I don't think Jerry Jones wants to start over unless Jerry Jones loves Cam Newton and wants to bring in Cam Newton. Or if Jerry Jones really loves Jameis Winston to bring in Jameis Winston. The problem is you've already given Dak the franchise tag.
Right.
So if you bring in Jameis, then you kind of put in a weird conundrum with Dak. And the quarterback market right now is not that strong for trade. Unless maybe again, the Patriots might want him. If maybe Cincinnati wants to make a deal for him and then they don't have to draft Burrow, they can draft Chase Young. But you're talking about putting it to deal together very late.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to be possible. So in many ways, the Cowboys back themselves into a corner. In my opinion, Dak does not hold the leverage. I'm not sure if he holds any leverage, to be honest.
I don't think so either.
I mean, the Cowboy deal is fair. I think what it came down to is years because I think what Dak wants is he wants to negotiate a new deal when the new collective bargaining agreement kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he could get more money at that point. So I think he wants a shorter-term deal,
right? Kind
of like what Cousins got.
Mm-hmm. But
I think he wants more money. But the thing is, I don't know if Dak Prescott is really is like such a tremendous upgrade. Well, I mean, maybe if we had Mike Guido on, he could verify. Listen, nobody knows Cowboys like him. He's a diehard Cowboy fan.
Exactly.
I would definitely defer to his opinion on this. But I just think, as I think about it more and more, and I've watched Dak play, last year he had a great year. But before that, he wasn't ever under 30 touchdowns. I think the highest he had was like 23. And again, that was because Zeke.
Yeah, it really is. It really shows, he's been, like I said, like I've been saying, he's been average. He's been real average his whole career in the NFL. Granted, it's been working for him because they've made the playoffs a couple of times, but he hasn't hit that next level yet. And he's been in the league for 4 years now. Mm-hmm. This is the time you want to see. Okay, we want to make the NFC Championship game. We want to potentially fight for the Super Bowl. That's not working for the Cowboys right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry Jones goes in a different direction maybe, or even draft someone.
I mean, listen, I think the Cowboys have underachieved.
They have. They have absolutely have.
With this triple threat of Cooper, I think they've totally underachieved. I don't think that they've been as – last year you saw it. They didn't even make the playoffs last year.
Right.
They were crappy in a lot of games, even though Dak threw well.
Yeah.
But again, who do we blame that on? Yes, was the defense good? It was okay. It wasn't phenomenal. But again, it comes down to both sides of the football. It also comes down to Jason Garrett when all is said and done.
I was going to say, I mean, maybe this year it'll be different with McCarthy as the head coach.
I mean, the thing is, Mike McCarthy is going to have to throw his 2 cents in here a little bit.
Yeah.
I think as the head coach, because he's got to go to, Jerry Jones is one of those owners that he doesn't care what his players do. Perfect example, the party over the weekend that Zeke and Dak threw with who knows how many people were there, but when it's social distancing guidelines and they're just in other words, they're basically saying, yeah, screw it. We're just going to have all these people over. We don't care. Jerry Jones's players have gotten in trouble with the law. Randy Gregory's been in trouble more times than I could count.
Yeah.
But he keeps giving them chances because he likes having these guys. He likes having these low character players on his team. He likes having these guys that just make a name for themselves, that are just name players regardless of the rap sheet or regardless of just any past history, whether it's drugs, whether it's
he takes the risk, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, it didn't work with Greg Hardy, and it hasn't worked with Randy Gregory. But a guy like Lyle Collins, who had tons of problems coming into the draft, they took a chance on him, and he's been good.
You know, but again, then you have Zeke, who's another guy who's been in trouble.
Yeah.
The incident when he was accused of sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he fondled some woman at a party, at a frat party or some party while he was at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't overlook these things. You can't ignore these things.
Right.
And that's what's so infuriating about the whole thing. But getting back to that, though, it's like once Jerry Jones is fixated on you, you're pretty much a Cowboy for life. Mm-hmm. I'd like to think. And I think that there's no way that he's going to sit there and let Dak Prescott walk.
Yeah.
Even though he wouldn't be wrong if he did.
You wouldn't. No,
because
absolutely right.
You can only go so far with negotiations. Remember, you just paid Zeke some big money. You just paid Amari Cooper big money. And you have DeMarcus Lawrence on a big contract. You can't keep paying these guys hundreds of millions of dollars. You have to prioritize who's worth it and who isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dak Prescott's worth $105 million guaranteed.
I don't think so either. But he will get that money, though. I do think that, though.
Oh, I think he will, too, because I think at the end of the day, Jerry Jones is going to figure out how to pay him. But I think what it's going to do, though, is it's going to hurt the team.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt the team in the long run. Like you said about Rivers, he's kind of the same quarterback, if you think about it. Rivers was a big stats guy. Rivers would light it up for 5 touchdowns and, because the Chargers were always playing behind. Dak's no different.
Yeah.
But I don't see Dak Prescott as this elite quarterback. I don't see him in the Drew Brees conversation. I don't see him in the Tom Brady. Never will see him in the Tom Brady conversation. But in this day and age now, quarterback is getting paid more than anybody.
Yeah.
You could be middle of the pack, and it won't matter because if they want you back, they're going to pay you.
Exactly.
The average franchise tag is $30 million this year for Dak.
Which would, honestly, and even the 1 year, $30 million, that's good money. That's good money for him.
I mean, he should just sign the tender, but he may not because I think he may not want to risk it. If he gets hurt, he could be screwed. But I have such a hard time accepting these quarterbacks who are good but not elite.
Yeah. Well, it's
getting the kind of money they're getting. They haven't done anything for their respective teams. I'm sorry, but Dak has not taken the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. He has not even taken them to an NFC Championship game. They can barely get out of the NFC East sometimes with the division title. And I really question it. It's just like what I said about Stafford. Stafford's had one playoff appearance with the Lions. I don't think he's had any other playoff appearances, at least not that I'm aware of.
He had a couple in the beginning of his career, but after that, it was real minimal.
Dalton got a big contract. He's never won a damn thing with the Cincinnati Bengals. Even when Tannehill was with the Dolphins, he got a big contract extension from Miami, but he had one playoff appearance.
Yeah, well, even with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins got that huge contract. And
another guy that I sit here and I scratch my head as to why Kirk Cousins is getting paid so much money.
I mean, I'll give it to he was a good quarterback, but I mean, what did he do in the Washington Redskins besides pad his stats? Nothing. He didn't do anything.
Listen, I'm the first person that'll tell you that if Kirk Cousins had signed with the Jets, I would have been okay with it.
So would I, yeah.
But I wouldn't have hated it. I wouldn't be sitting here now in hindsight going, he sucks, and we should have never gotten him. I would have been okay with it because I just wanted a new quarterback at that point. Yeah. And if they would have got Kirk Cousins, I would have been fine with it. I mean, I would have been frustrated if he had some miserable games.
Oh, yeah.
And all is said and done, I am happy we have Sam Darnold.
Same.
But I just don't see why Kirk Cousins is worth this kind of money. One playoff win.
Yeah.
Last year with the Vikings. When they played the Niners, he was awful. I don't get it. And I guess at this point, it's a simple thing. I guess as long as you have a cannon of an arm and you can throw 40, 50 yards down the field, it doesn't really matter what you do. If you can run an NFL offense, you're going to get paid.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I mean, and a guy like Kirk Cousins who commands the locker room, he commands the field, and he puts up decent numbers, will get a big contract like that. And it's crazy to think that because does he deserve it? Absolutely not. And I'm kind of glad the Jets didn't pay that absurd contract. Yeah,
that was a fully guaranteed deal. The thing was, exactly. We're lucky Maccagnan. I mean, listen, the Vikings have made the playoffs with Cousins. We haven't done squat with Darnold yet, but that's okay.
That's fine.
The difference is Darnold is 22 years old and Cousins has been in the league for a while.
Exactly.
Okay. But that being said, though, yeah, I'm glad that we, at the end of the day, when it came down to the money and the fact that it was a fully guaranteed deal, I'm glad we didn't get Kirk Cousins. But make no mistake, had the Jets gotten Kirk Cousins, I'd have been fine with it.
Yeah, same. I wanted him all offseason. But when we realized I didn't get him, I'm like, all right, we're either going to get Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, or Sam Darnold. One of those four. We were going to get one of them.
And it's just, for me, like just reading the stuff about Prescott, and I know pretty much right now with the NFL still in a lull because we're still all quarantined, there's still social distancing, there's still all this stuff,
Right.
I mean, I get that Dak is doing what Dak has to do, but I mean, the fact is 105 million guaranteed on however many years. I don't know what the number of years was. I didn't really get that part of it. I mean, I think that's a pretty fair deal.
Yeah.
I think that kind of money guaranteed is no joke.
Yeah.
And if it's only over 4 years, then there's no reason why you shouldn't sign that deal.
Yeah, I think he should. He has no leg to stand on with this. He has nothing. He has nothing to say. I would say if I was Dak, I would take the money, run with Mike McCarthy for the next 4 years and see where that gets you.
Yeah, and I think getting back to McCarthy for a second, I think it's funny how last year he was like the most sought after coach in like NFL, and how dare you not handle, hire Mike McCarthy if you're the Jets or whatever team. He gets hired by the Cowboys. It's like a head scratching decision, and I'm like, I don't understand why that is. Like, I mean, the guy took a year off. He's motivated. I mean, I think he's comfortable. I mean, if anything, you should be happy with it.
Exactly.
With him being the head coach of this team. But I just, at the end of the day, don't see. I could easily sit here and say, well, Cam Newton is just like Dak Prescott. He's got personality. He's got some issues. He's kind of an ass in many ways. But why can't I win with Cam Newton with the same roster?
See, but the thing is, if you were to bring Cam Newton to the Cowboys, we've seen Cam light it up. I mean, granted, that was a few years ago, but we know he's capable of doing that again. We don't know if Dak Prescott's capable of doing that. We don't know if Cam's been to the Super Bowl. Like, he's been to the playoffs. Dak really hasn't been. There'd be a difference bringing Cam rather than keeping Dak. I think if you bring a guy like Cam Newton to the Cowboys, it'd be a huge step forward for them.
No, I agree. And I think that, listen, this is why I keep saying, like, I feel like Dak is just interchangeable to me. I don't think my offense, if I don't have Dak Prescott leading my offense, I'm not going to crawl into a ball or anything like that. I'm going to look for the next best alternative.
Right.
Jameis Winston puts up stats very similar to Dak Prescott. The only problem with Jameis Winston is the turnovers. The turnovers kill him.
Exactly.
30 picks is a lot. And the thing is if Bruce Arians is giving up on you, that's never a good thing.
Exactly. At least,
it definitely says a lot about where you're headed.
Exactly. The Buccaneers, I think they did it right, honestly. They ran their course with Jameis. They gave it the 1 year with Bruce Arians, and they were like, you know what? This really isn't it. You're gone. Let's get Tom Brady. Now,
think about it like this. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, what do I need right now in the draft, in your honest opinion? Maybe a corner? Because we lost Byron Jones?
I think it's got to be defense. In one of my best friends, he's a Cowboys fan, and I was asking him. He actually did one of my shows with me. And I asked him, I was like, so what do you think the Cowboys are going to do? And he said he would either want a pass rusher or a corner. And I personally think they're going to get the pass rusher from LSU, Kayvon Chase. Yeah, him. I think that would be the perfect fit for the Cowboys because, since DeMarcus Ware, DeMarcus Lawrence has been doing a good job, but since DeMarcus Ware, they really haven't had like a stud pass rusher. And I think this guy Kayvon could do a really phenomenal job for them if the Cowboys sign him.
Now, if you're Dallas and you see the Prescott negotiations aren't going anywhere, and they're stalling into the summertime, and then you're getting into training camp, and because what it sounds to me, because he's already decided to skip the virtual off-season program, whatever that is.
Right.
But when training camps come, is Dak going to show up?
It'll be
tough. Do you think they're going to have a deal, or you think they're going to have a deal in place by then? And if not, do you draft a quarterback this year to serve as a backup? Whether it's if you want to go in the first round where you're picking and you want to draft Jordan Love, Or if you want to go into the next round, in the third round, where guys like Nick Eason from Washington and Jake Fromm are available.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I think they can't. I don't think they can take if Prescott's going to hold out. You can't waste a first round pick on a quarterback because God forbid Prescott does get the deal he wants, a 4-year deal, and you do draft a guy like Jordan Love. Then it's like we either A, just wasted all this money on Dak Prescott, or B, we just wasted a first round draft pick on a quarterback. Yeah. I think they go day 2 and draft a guy like Jake Fromm or Easton, one of those two.
Because
guys.
if I'm the Cowboys, I need to prep for life after Dak.
Yeah,
because this could get ugly.
Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is not a bad quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think day 2 they take one of those 3.
The thing is, Jerry Jones likes having a Jalen Hurts.
He would love Jalen Hurts.
He's like almost like a Dak, although Dak's bigger and and everything. But like I said, when all is said and done, I don't know if Dak has leverage. I'm not sure.
I don't think so either.
Because but I think at the same time, Jerry Jones does not have a very good poker face. So I think what happens is that he's so in love with these guys that he just wants to get them signed and move on.
Right.
He will go 10 years with the same nucleus and it will not lead him anywhere.
Right. And we saw that with the Cowboys for a long time, and that's why they really didn't win any playoff games for the longest time.
Yeah, and even over the past 4 years, what have they won? They haven't won anything. They haven't really gotten past the second round.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly. I just think that's personally because that's personal. They haven't really built up their defense. I mean, you have guys get injured, guys leave. You really haven't fixed your defensive line yet. The offense is I think the offense is perfect. You have a great offensive line. You have a great running back, and you have a decent quarterback with great wide receivers. That's all you need. That's all you really need. But it's been the defense, and he hasn't fixed that at all.
No, I agree. And I think again, listen, you can keep drafting defensive guys all you want, but eventually you got to ask yourself: is it time to move on from my quarterback?
Yeah.
My quarterback's demands are unreasonable.
Exactly.
And that's where I kind of draw the line. I don't think Dak Prescott does any more for your offense than what Jameis Winston would do.
Right.
And maybe Jameis Winston, under the tutelage of Mike McCarthy, could wind up being a pretty good quarterback. Maybe he can cut down his turnovers. I don't know. Listen, we know Jameis is a good quarterback. He just is a turnover machine.
Right.
That's what's killing him. That's why teams aren't putting their trust into him being the starting quarterback. Now, here's the crazy thing. If I'm the Jets, I try to bring in Jameis as my backup to Sam. I need to see why not?
I think it'll cost too much money. I think it will.
How much? Right now, Jameis doesn't have a job.
He does not deserve this money, but he will get, I'll say, somewhere in $15 million, somewhere in that area. He doesn't deserve it.
He's going to get $15 million for 1 year?
He doesn't deserve. No, not by. I think he'll go to a team. Maybe, who knows? We really have no idea if he can go to the Patriots. Who else needs a quarterback? The Bears still need a quarterback. I don't think they'll run with Nick. I really hope they don't run with Nick Foles. Who knows? Really?
Honestly, touch on the Bears for a second. They may not have a choice.
Exactly.
You've invested too much into acquiring Nick Foles. You can't have him sitting on the bench as a backup. I think you've seen what you have out of Trubisky. I don't think Trubisky's going to make you. You think Trubisky is going to take this quantum leap forward this year? No. And I can't sit here and say, well, Foles is on the bench. I brought in Nick Foles and I absorbed his salary, just have him sit on the bench. I just can't see it. There's just nothing that tells me that Mitchell Trubisky is the answer in Chicago, because if he was, then they wouldn't even be entertaining the idea of acquiring Nick Foles, which they did.
Yeah, I think Trubisky's done, but I really wouldn't want Jameis on the Jets just because it's just eating up the cap space that we have, which I think, and we can probably talk about this at a later time. We need to get. I think we need to get Jadeveon Clowney. I think we need to go after him.
I think when all is said and done, the backup QB for the Jets is going to be Flacco. I wouldn't hate. I like Flacco. I don't know why I believe it. I just believe it's going to be Flacco. It's either going to be Flacco or it's going to be Simeon again for another year.
Well, we already signed back David Fales. I don't know why, but
He's not going to be anything. He's not going to do.
I wouldn't hate Joe Flacco. I wouldn't hate Andy Dalton either, honestly.
I don't want to trade for Andy Dalton. the red rooster, no. I'm not trading for Andy. Oh no, the Red Rifle. That's what they call it. Not the Red Rooster. The Red Rooster was a wrestler from the '80s.
It's funny. It's funny. We're talking about Trubisky now, and it's just funny that he was taken before Mahomes and Watson.
Crazy, right?
That's nuts.
Crazy.
Jeez.
I hated that pick when the Bears made it.
Oh, so did I. And I at the moment, I was tight that the Jets didn't draft Deshaun Watson, but I can't be mad with Jamal Adams at all. So
no. I love Jamal Adams.
So do I.
Think he was a phenomenal pick.
Do I.
Sometimes I think what screwed the Jets over in their draft is they were very big on best player available.
Yeah.
Even if that player was a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
And that's what they really liked.
Well, I think that was the problem with McCagnon.
I think under Douglas, it's going to be need. And I talked about it yesterday on my Facebook Live show, and I basically said, I'm like, I am kind of coming around to drafting a receiver. I'm now coming around to it more because I could see a situation next Thursday where, let's say the Jets draft Andrew Thomas or Tristan Wirfs or whichever lineman, and none of those picks would be bad. But I could see a run on receivers at the end of the first round.
There could be.
And in the second round, where the Jets pick like 18th, they pick like 48th, I think, is their pick.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
It scares the crap out of me, Clem, that you're not going to get that second round receiver that could be just as good as a first round receiver.
But even if that's the case, though, if we don't get a wide receiver, that's the thing, though, too, because I've been looking at mock drafts, I've been looking at simulated ones and everything like that. And when it comes into that second round area where the Jets are picking, there's not a lot of wide receivers there. At least guys who can take us to the next level, like Lamb or Judy will. There's not a lot. So I mean, it's I think the Jets have to go out and get the wide receiver now in the first round, and then go out and get lineman, cornerback, edge rusher, whoever in the second. Okay, so before we finish up, do you think Dak Prescott has the leverage? No. Absolutely. Not at all. Not at all. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. He doesn't have the leverage, but Jerry Jones is so I'm looking for a word and I can't think of it, to the point where Jerry Jones doesn't know how to be, to me, a tough negotiator. I think if he loves the guy, he's going to say, okay, let's just get a deal done. Yeah. And I think that that's going to be the case. I don't think he has the leverage, especially when Cam and Jameis are still out there. Because those two guys, the fact that those two guys are still free agents is very alarming. The fact that the Patriots haven't decided to come in. And it was funny because I was talking to my brother. My brother lives in North Carolina and South Carolina. But, he goes to Panther games and he listens to a lot of the sports talk radio in Charlotte. And I asked him, I said, what do you think about Cam possibly going to the Patriots? And he said, it'll never happen because Massachusetts fans won't accept him, and he's a real asshole. And he's basically said, Belichick won't put up with his BS. I don't deny it. I don't deny it at all. He just said, he's a jerk in press conferences. He's a jerk in, when they just do interviews with him. It's just his attitude is terrible, and Belichick would never put up with him. And he said that's pretty much the main reason why Cam won't be in New England. I wouldn't be surprised, but I feel, I think Cam. I think if he had, those personal issues aside, I think Cam would be a good quarterback in New England. Yeah. So you say no, Dak doesn't have the leverage. I'm going to say yes, because I think Jerry Jones will allow him to have the leverage. He will allow him to think that he is the missing link to a championship. And now that Dak sees that, he's going to be like, okay, well, now that you put it that way, I've already turned down $105 million guaranteed. Who's to say you won't pay me $115? Exactly. Every million counts now. And I think it's just for me, I just think that Jerry will let Dak believe he has the leverage, which is why I will say that Dak does hold the cards in the negotiations at this point. All right, so let's finish up, Clem. One shot each. I'm going to let you have the floor first. There's been, I'll bring it back to wrestling because we mentioned it earlier in the show. As you can see, I'm wearing the Ronda Rousey shirt. A lot of her just going off on the WWE. I will say one thing to that real quickly. We're not gonna, because I want to.
I don't think it's a shoot. I really think she means it.
Really, I was going to say I
only
think
believe
it's
she
a
means
word.
it.
I think
You know why I think so? Because she's MMA.
Hmm.
She's gotten used to taking, she's taken real punches in an octagon, and she knows the ins and outs of sports entertainment. And she knows, listen, fans are going to hate her because that's just how it is. Fans boo the heels. That's professional wrestling. I just think it's something that she can't handle from a personality aspect. And I think that that's why she's coming in. I don't believe it's a work. I really believe she believes what she says.
I thought that first until I was watching Monday Night Raw where they mentioned Ronda's name. And they were talking to Shayna, and they were just like, oh, Shayna, what do you think about all this Ronda Rousey stuff going on? They mentioned it a couple times. And that's when I thought, I'm like, okay, this might be a work now. I think this is working towards something, whether she comes back at Money in the Bank or whatnot. And you could tell, they had a bunch of releases today, and she's still on contract for another year. She didn't get released. So
honestly, some of the names. Listen, for those of the people who are watching us live or just watching or watch it later, there was a laundry list of names today that were released, and you kind of saw it coming because of the COVID-19 and the coronavirus and with the pandemic and everything. And the WWE is probably just losing money hand over fist right now because of WrestleMania, because of the fact they can't do live Raws, they can't have house shows, they have no money, they don't have a lot of revenue coming in right now. They don't have a choice. So a lot of the guys they released, to me, were people that were jobbers and no names, people you might have saw in the main event if you watched Have WWE Network. You had Mike and Maria Kanellis. They were dying to be released for a long time. You had No Way Jose. I think some of the bigger releases were probably Rusev.
Yeah.
Was a big one. For me, Sarah Logan was a big one because it puts to rest any possibility of a Riot Squad reunion.
Those are your girls.
I love the Riot Squad. Come on, man. From there, Eric Rowan was released today, but then you have other guys like EC3, Drake Maverick. Kurt Angle wasn't really doing anything with WWE, so it's no big loss there. No disrespect to Kurt Angle, but if he's not playing an integral role in the storylines, then he's expendable.
Yeah.
It's a sad thing. Well, actually, two people that was also another surprising. Gallows and Anderson were released.
Right. Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't believe it. And then I was talking to some of my friends, and I was just like, AEW is going to thrive once this COVID-19 stuff all ends because they're just going to sign these guys, and that's some serious talent to bring over. Guys like Rusev, the Gallows and Anderson. Even EC, I heard before EC3 came to WWE, all my buddies talked about were, EC3 is the best on the mic. He's amazing. He's so good. And I was really excited to see this guy, and then he did nothing. So I was like, oh well, this sucks.
He was completely useless
for nothing.
EC3 was completely useless.
Yeah, they used him terribly.
I mean, they used him in NXT briefly, and then I think he had a concussion actually, and he couldn't really wrestle. He was still having symptoms.
Yeah.
But even when they came back, they didn't really use him. They never really used Mike Kanellis except on 205 Live towards the very end of that. Yeah. Those ridiculous things where his wife was basically, destroying him.
Terrible.
I mean, Sarah Logan, I think, had potential to be very good as part of the Riot Squad or even as part of a singles wrestler, but they never really built up her thing. Yeah. And the Gallows and Anderson one is really surprising because of the OC.
Yeah.
But even they kind of became a bit of a clown tag team after a while.
They did. Like when the OC came, when Gallows and Anderson came in originally, they came in hot. They were great tag champs, everything. And then they started to die off a bit. And then when AJ really came back into the picture with them, that's when they started getting revived again. But even then, it wasn't really helping them. But now I think with the fact that AEW is such a big thing and people actually like AEW, they will go the guys like Gallows and Anderson. I think if Sarah Logan goes over to AEW, she'll be top 3 women's wrestler over there.
Actually, you know who I could see as a sleeper in AEW if they really went after him?
Who?
Leo Rush.
Yes, I
love Leo Rush. I'm a big Leo Rush fan.
He's great. He's great on the mic.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, Ryder and Hawkins were released as well.
I know. They won't go AEW, but
no, you know what I said though? When everything gets back and events start taking place on a regular basis, those Creator Pro shows are going to be good.
Oh,
because those people are, oh my God, he's going to recruit all those people to come to matches.
Hawkins
Imagine having Zack Ryder in Lynbrook or Hicksville for a show.
Hawkins already tweeted out that I mean, it's not a big name, but Heath Slater's going to be at some of these things already. So
Okay, yeah, of course. I mean,
I would see Heath Slater. Like,
the thing is, these guys can wrestle. They just, unfortunately, right now, the problem is this situation has just crippled this industry. It's crippled the sporting industry.
yeah.
And if you're not generating any revenue off the Monday Night Raw sales and house shows can't be done, you're screwed.
Yeah, I think it also doesn't help that the XFL did file for bankruptcy.
Yes,
They got to try and get some money.
Part of it too. I totally agree with you there too.
Yeah,
but at the same time, when everything kind of calms down, maybe they bring them back.
Yeah,
maybe they bring a couple of these guys back.
That's what my friends are saying. That's what my friends are saying.
Hush-hush deal. Maybe there's a hush-hush deal, like, when this thing calms down, we're ready to bring, we'll give you a call.
Yeah.
Listen, how awesome it would be to see No Way Jose at Creator Pro?
I always loved No Way Jose. I always loved it.
Creator Pro, man. I'm gonna take my daughter next time.
Yeah, whenever it goes, I got to go because I've always wanted to see the shows.
Yeah, the last match I saw was with Orange Cassidy. It was a good match.
That's my guy. I love Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy and Ethan Page, because they kind of pluck these guys out of nowhere. Like some of the guys I'd never heard of, but they're pretty good wrestlers, and the shows are awesome. These guys definitely put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, as for me, I'll end on this note. It's kind of funny because since everything is in a lull, there isn't really too much news outside of the draft, and of course now WWE is kind of taken center stage because everything is suspended and everything. We don't know when everything's coming back.
Right.
But one thing I've noticed that NFL teams are now doing is they're all of a sudden announcing new uniforms.
I noticed that.
So far, we've had 3 teams already changing uniforms because there's just nothing to do right now on any team's offices because they can't go to work. They're all probably working from home right now, except for the the tailors and everything making the new jerseys. But here's the funny thing about the jersey. So today it came out on Twitter. The Browns are changing their jersey.
Again, didn't they just change it like 5 years ago?
Yeah, they changed it to like what you see in high schools, like the high school football jerseys, right? With the Cleveland on the front.
Look theirs up.
Well, they didn't really make any drastic changes. What they basically did was they just went back to the old Browns uniform, right? Which is fine. I like it. I don't know if it's something that has to be like broadcast on Twitter as like this breaking announcement, but it's fine.
Yeah. They didn't do anything crazy, yeah.
Like even the Falcons changed their jerseys also. The Buccaneers changed their jerseys a little bit, but they kind of kept the same colors. But I think now they have a gray jersey that's actually pretty cool. It's actually pretty nice. And the Falcons kind of went a little old school from like their days in the 90s when it was the run and shoot offense, where they got the black jersey, just the plain black jerseys and all that with the,
those were nice. I like those.
Yeah. So what you're kind of seeing is more like it's like a changing of the guard, but it's like a blast from the past at the same time because you're going back to the old school in a way. Right. The jerseys for the Buccaneers looking similar to like when Rondé Barber was on the team and Mike Allstott was on the team and, and Sean King and all those guys. Mm-hmm. And, and it's the same thing with the Falcons. The Falcons are going back to the black uniforms, like the old black uniforms they used to wear. And now the Browns are kind of going back to their old school brown uniforms. That's fine. I guess if there's one team I'd like to see change their uniform to go back to the old is the Bengals. Because I hate them. I don't like their uniforms at all. Yeah. But basically in this day and age, it's like gotten to the point where there's literally nothing to talk about in sports that a huge announcement becomes the revealing of new uniforms. Yeah. Which at any other given day in a normal society, nobody would give a rat's ass about.
Exactly.
You'd have your comments and then you just kind of move on.
Exactly.
So the jerseys are cool, but it's not like you're showing me anything different. You're just kind of going back in time to when your jerseys were awesome to what they are now. So I will leave it on that note. And for that, this Moffett on the Mic podcast is officially done. And thank everybody for following us, checking us out live. Check out the A1 Sports Radio Network for other shows. I'll be back tomorrow with a show on Facebook Live. We'll try to get into some stuff. Clem and I will probably be back pretty soon, maybe Friday, if you're okay with that. But we'll get into our some other topics as well. So everyone, again, follow me on Instagram at Moff on the Mic, Twitter at Moffett on the Mic, and my Facebook page as well. You can follow the A1 Sports Radio Network also on Instagram. So everybody, wherever you are, stay safe, Have a good day, and we will talk again tomorrow.